Yeah, so that's okay. Great, great. So I suggest we start. So hello, everybody. It's really a pleasure to be your host today. First and most important thing, I hope everybody is doing well. Welcome to this 2022 edition of the Human Classroom General Assembly that is held online this time also. It's a shame we cannot meet in person, but hopefully we will do so next year. So I'll tell you more about that later on. Let me share my screen and share the agenda also. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. So the agenda is the following. We will start by a presentation by Katarina Napton-Village, the new head of construction unit at DG Grow, who kindly agreed to talk to us about the current context of the European Commission and DG Grow. We will then move to some housekeeping business with the appointment of the chair and deputy chairs and the process for designing the new steering committee. We will then have a presentation by Electra and Peter from DG Grow about the high-level construction forum and the transition pathway, along with digital logbooks and building permits. And we will then move to the presentations of national perspectives regarding BIM, and where you will have the opportunity to share with the group your views through a short presentation without slides. And finally, we will address the suggestions for 2023 actions and any other business, including the participation to the BIM Global Network. Are you okay with that? Is there any questions regarding the agenda? If so, please raise your hand or say a few words. No? Okay, so let's move on. Now it's my pleasure to give the floor to Katarina Napton-Village, the head of construction unit at DG Grow, for an insight about the European Commission priorities and roadmap. Katarina, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Sohail. It's very kind to invite me. And it's a great honor to be there. I've read in the preparation that each of the nationals should keep their presentation to 5 minutes. I will try to do the same, although 10 minutes are allocated to me. I've met several of you in person anyway last month in Prague, and I was more than impressed by your vision, your dedication, and your pragmatism, and by your results, which are way above my head. You're a wonderful group, self-organized and self-motivated. And for those I had not have met and had not the opportunity to talk to, my origins lay in law, and lawyers are famously incapable in everything technical, mathematical, or digitally. But at the same time, I have been fascinated by buildings and how they shape our society and how we live and how we work from an early age. And I was really lucky to accompany some big building projects after the reunification in Berlin in the wild east of construction at the time. So to move to construction policy in the European Commission is like an old dream come true. And like all dreams, it's wonderful and it's difficult. I'm discovering lots of new things I wasn't aware of. I knew vaguely that something like BIM existed. Now I know slightly more than that it exists, but not a lot. So bear with me for a bit of time. But in any case, construction, like procurement, for which I was responsible before, struggles with digitalization. In construction, it's the predominance of often old-fashioned SMEs. In procurement, it's the predominance of old and old-fashioned officials. So already in procurement, we had launched several projects to further digitalization, including through the use of BIM, including through creating a community, an online community on BIM in procurement. Because digitalization is extremely important, you all know it. It's a means to an end, to several ends, to trust, to transparency, to the possibility of recording, to cooperation, to circularity, to calculate and achieve energy efficiency, etc., etc., etc. So those networks like yours, the exchange and the co-creation of methodologies is extremely important to make construction fit for the future in which we hope to achieve our climate goals. The public sector also needs to lead by example in the digital transition. So we have stood by the member state side by co-developing and proposing tools like a cost-benefit analysis tool and methodologies, by training public administrations, by publishing methodological, yes, awful word, guidelines like the BIM handbook. And we have supported several member states to develop the national strategies with money and with help. Beyond that, Lithuania, Spain, Poland, Greece, Estonia. So from the very north to the very south of the European Union. And we will continue to support you, so focusing on open BIM and the green transition. We will collect good practices and propose a self-assessment tool for maturity in BIM. The community platform Another Big Bias was presented yesterday in the dedicated webinar, and it will be launched in February. We will have Electra and Peter saying more about specifics of our initiative. So I will stop here. I will say only that I thank very much the current chair and wish the best to whoever you will elect today as the new chair of your task force. You will be a privileged partner of us in developing our policies on digital construction. And we'll hope you will enlarge your participation more to ministries and national policy makers that will allow us to have an even wider group of correspondents and stakeholders to talk to, while at the same time finding the right place for the private sector and the expert involvement. Please let me assure you that you can count on our collaboration and cooperation. Thank you very much. I very much look forward to participating in most of your morning's session. I will have to fetch my daughter from this train station. She's coming because she's struggling with her PhD, which is mostly on digitalization of archaeological records, and she's struggling to get that done. So we are all sometimes struggling with digitalization. I wish you not to struggle, but to share good and best experiences in the rest of the morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Katharina. Thank you for this inspiring presentation and the nice words about the EU BIM task group. This really means a lot. Thank you.
And I'm also not heating, so I'm pretty frozen.
Yeah. Great. Thanks a lot. So now I suggest we move to the next point of the agenda. It's about some housekeeping business. So as you know, I've been acting as chair of the EU BIM task group for the last 4 years. knowing that, as we agreed, the term of office of the chair and deputy chairs is 2 years, and the term can be renewed only once. That means that I need to step down, and we need to appoint a new chair and 2 vice chairs. So the steering committee discussed this issue and have a proposition to make to the General Assembly. After discussions and a lot of convincing, Jan Sar kindly agreed to act as chair, and Milena Feustel and Yaroslav Neshiba agreed to act as vice chairs. So this is the proposals that have been validated by the steering committee. And I personally vouch for this option that I think will allow the eBIM task group to have a really great team as chairs. So we need a decision from the General Assembly about this proposition from the steering committee. Please let us know how you feel about this proposal. Any ideas, remark, approval, opposition, anything you want to add to this proposal? Yes, I see some thumbs up, so that's great. I see that Mark Neshia wanted to say something, please.
Yes, I support this decision and choices, and I think you made a very good team for the future. So I would support this choice.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Any other comments?
Yes, if I can, I'm Pietro.
Please. Yep.
I support the new chair, the deputy, and I think it's a very good thing that Jean will be the new chair for his experience. Also, it's important that also in general in Europe we do sometimes small countries, sometimes big countries. I think it's a good thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Pietro. Leana?
Thank you. I want to be honest and tell you that I hope for this choice, because Jan, from the beginning of our meetings, was to focus on all the issues. And so I support totally the choice. Milena and Yaroslav also have offered a lot to our works and all our deals and works. And also, I want to tell a big thank you to Suhail for all his support. I think that Greece is grateful to you, Suhail, because from you we started our BIM journey, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your support in our country to get Greece on board to this great BIM initiative. So I want to. I am waiting for the elections to elect these people and tell you that we're here to support the chair and the deputy chairs deeply and contribute to their work the most we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Leana. Thank you for the nice words also. Great. So a few seconds left. So please, if anybody has comments, something to share, it's the time to do so. Okay, so we consider that this proposal has been accepted by unanimity. Congratulations to the new team and many, many good things to come, I hope. Thank you. So now we move to the composition of the new steering committee. So we also discussed this and we want to put in place a steering committee that is much more committed. And we are therefore working on an application process to recruit committed members to the steering committee. So we are reconsidering the way the steering committee is composed. Jan, maybe you want to say a few words about the application process that we are considering?
Yes, absolutely. I would be happy to. Can you hear me with the headset? I'm not sure. Okay. First of all, again, I would like to reflect what Liana said. Thank you, Suhail, for being the chair for 4 years and carrying us through this very interesting and at times very difficult times with the remote stuff and all of that. It's not easy. And thanks everybody for the support for the new team. It's definitely an honor. And also thank you for the added workload. Thanks for that as well. But I wouldn't have had the courage to step up as chair without Milena and Yaroslav, of course. And I do consider this a real team effort and kind of like a management team for the UBIM task group. So yeah. Before we get to the steering committee, I think it's I would just like to express a few ideas that we've been discussing with Yaroslav and Milena as well about the future of this group. Because with the new management team, we aim to kind of reboot the UBIM task group because I think it's needed. And we really need to come together physically as well at some point, hopefully next year, already in the first half of the next year. That's what we're striving for. But we need to review why the UBIM task group is here. What is our real purpose now? Because it's, we have a roadmap, which is excellent. We need to implement on that roadmap, but the roadmap was done quite a while ago. And, there are other initiatives like Katarina mentioned, the Big Buyers Club. There was a webinar on it yesterday, and it is kind of, I see at one side overlapping activities, on another side, a lot of potential for collaboration and extending our message and reach. But that's why we really need to kind of step back for a moment, reboot what the UBIM task group is about, and then move forward faster and with new purpose, hopefully. But I would also like to give the word to Milena and Yaroslav to express maybe their thoughts as well. So Milena, care to comment, please?
Just a few words. Thank you for giving me the chance to continue our work or to maybe adapt our work. Anyway, I'm glad to contribute. As you know, we have a lot to do, and this is a very good opportunity to keep track and keep going in such a great team. Concerning the steering committee, yes, I fully support the idea that we give the chance to people who have more time and energy and are willing to do more for the group, as we believe that we now have an important place. We always had an important place, but I think the momentum is very strong, so we need active people, and we're looking forward to many applications. That's from my side. Yaroslav, over to you.
Thank you, Milena, for your words. Of course, it was almost all said by Milena and Jan and Suhail previously. I would just add one more thought about the collaboration and connection as the UBIM task group with other entities. And one of the most important for us, I feel, it's of course the DG GROW and European Commission. So one of the activities which we will be dealing in the near future is to find really working and going more deeper in collaboration with the DigiGrow, which is obviously very well until now, which was mentioned by Katarina and Elektra, and we spoke about that in person in Prague as well. But again, we have to find some kind how to be more involved in outcomes and share these things together and create something which have the value for all the public sector across Europe. So thank you very much, and thank you for your support, and we hope that we'll get the really interesting outcomes soon.
Thank you, Milena and Jaroslav. Again, your effort and time on this is very, very much appreciated. And regarding the steering committee, as Suel said, there will be a process of application now, because we really feel that we want to have very motivated people who have the time and motivation to put work into the UBIM task group. Because I know it's a voluntary group. Nobody's really getting paid extra for doing any of this work. We are all here kind of on a mission purpose. And it's really tough to ask anybody to voluntarily pitch in on things that maybe they don't fully agree or align with. So the idea is that we want to also kind of get an understanding of those of you who are interested in participating in the steering committee on what your activities are, on what your interests are, and maybe how those can be aligned with the UBIM task group. And some of your work that you are doing in your daily jobs can be applicable here on a European level, which can help the European Commission. And as Katarina said, she really likes our group. I'm really happy to hear that. And they consider us a good kind of expert group for them to understand how to tackle the huge challenge of digitizing the whole construction industry. And you know, it's not only about BIM anymore. So we are definitely beyond that. In some countries, way ahead of that. But in some countries, of course, still at the beginning of the BIM journey. And yeah, we will make this process known very soon. There will be a form. We'll send it out. We'll collect some information from you guys. And we really want to move as fast as possible with selecting a new steering committee and getting together physically as a General Assembly already in the first half of next year. So we can, you know, turn the lever for the reboot switch and see how we go forward. But yeah, I think that's it from me, Suel. So I think we're more or less on time. And if anybody has questions to Milena, Jaroslav, or me, feel free to ask them now or send them by email or call. So our lines are open to any ideas, and we will be in touch with you guys very, very soon again.
Great. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Milena and Jaroslav. Very nice perspectives there. So just to be clear, we're talking about a General Assembly early next year in order to launch the process and see how things are going, right? And hopefully in person.
Yes, this is what we're hoping to achieve.
Great. Okay, so many thanks for that. Now, as I propose that we move to the next presentation by Elektra and Peter from DigiGrow on the high level and construction forum and the transition pathway, along with logbooks and digital building permits and the upcoming work stream on BIM. Elektra, Peter, do you want to take the floor?
Yes, thank you very much, Suhail. And from our side, if I may say, congratulations to Jan, Jaroslav, and Milena. We are looking forward to continue the great collaboration that we had with you in the past. Suhail, I really Thank you very much for everything. I don't think we will lose you. I'm sure we will keep in touch through this group. So we will share the floor with Peter. We have some updates to give you overall on what is happening on construction policy in EU level, and then we will focus more on digitalization. So I will share my screen if I can get the access. Thank you.
Yeah, you should have it now. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Super. So, as you may know already, the current Commission introduced the concept of the industrial ecosystems. So, we are passing from the previous industrial sector to the notion of the industrial ecosystem, which means that we take into account more actors, more stakeholders, and we're trying to build collaborations in a larger pool of partners. The industrial ecosystem of construction is a very big one, the second biggest in economic terms, with employing almost 25 million people in the EU. It is composed by 5.3 million firms, most of them SMEs, and many of them, 90%, micro enterprises, so enterprises of up to 9 people. And the activities it comprises go, of course, from the classic IC industry, architectural engineering and construction, but also operation of buildings, facility management, and activities such as renovation, refurbishment, demolition, site preparation, and others. Just to frame a bit the discussion. From our side as DG Grow, that we are in charge of speaking with the industry and maintaining a fruitful dialogue that feeds into our policies. We have a platform, an instrument, communication and collaboration basis, which is the High-Level Construction Forum. In the High-Level Construction Forum, we have over 700 construction stakeholders registered from across the EU. They cover a big range of stakeholders. We have, of course, member states and authorities, national and local. We have other European institutions. We are having industrial stakeholders, either national associations or European associations, companies as well, standardization bodies, academics, etc. So we are very open in the discussion, and we welcome anyone across Europe that self-identifies as construction stakeholder to join us. We are materializing this communication with 1 to 2 plenary meetings per year and around 9 thematic meetings per year. There is a frequent newsletter with updates, invitations, and events, so the High-Level Construction Forum community can stay updated about all the initiatives that are running across the Commission regarding construction. And of course, the High-Level Construction Forum is the platform to co-create the transition pathway. The transition pathway is meant to be a roadmap for the industrial ecosystem for construction, for it to be resilient, to be green and digital, looking towards 2030 and beyond. The idea of the transition pathway is also a novelty of the current Commission that invites basically the stakeholders from the different industrial ecosystems to propose and commit actions for this transition, the green, digital, and resilient, as I said to you. Already as Commission, we published our idea of how the roadmap to the future should look like in the staff working document that's called Scenarios Towards a Transition Pathway for Resilient, Greener and Digital Construction Ecosystem last year in December. And we followed with a series of meetings, thematic meetings, and not only, with many stakeholder networks, including the EU BIM task group, but also the new European Bauhaus community, the Council Working Group on construction products, and meetings that we organized ad hoc based on stakeholder needs on digital building logbooks, interoperability, the use of digital tools for the green transition, but also other topics that we have been tasked on working lately, like a European strategy for the removal of asbestos, for example. And our current planning is that by February 2023, we will publish this roadmap, and we will present it in a plenary meeting of the High-Level Construction Forum. More on content now. As I said to you, our work is organized in 3 pillars. Competitiveness and resilience is a very important pillar. There you can see discussions taking place in terms of skills, in terms of enabling the construction workforce to carry out the digital and green transition, and also different actions to increase the competitiveness of the construction ecosystem. Of course, another important pillar is the green transition. As you know very well, it is a very high-level mission of the Commission to make Europe the first climate neutral continent, and construction and buildings are a very big contributor to that. And last but not least is the digital transition, where we find also all the activities that my colleague Peter is going to present that go through BIM, digital building permits, digital building logbooks, and also support to the industry. These 2 pillars that we follow across all these 3 areas is making an enabling framework, working with administrations, working with member states, and on the other side, supporting directly the industry. In this roadmap that we plan to publish in the beginning of 2023, you can expect the areas that are defined in the lower part of the slide. So there will be mentions, an assessment and action points on supporting SMEs in the ecosystem. There will be an extensive chapter on how we can create and foster an enabling framework for the green and digital transition of the ecosystem. And there we're looking a lot into digitalization as an enabler, how digitalization can be an enabler for competitiveness, how it can be an enabler for greening. Already through your group, we had extensive discussions about the role of BIM in saving resources, not only in construction, but also in maintenance and operation. We look into digitalization through the scope. And of course, there are mentions to the single market and the construction products regulation. There's a big chapter as well on skills and professionals. As I mentioned, upskilling, attraction of new talent is a very important topic for construction. There is also a chapter on safe buildings. There is since 2017 a work stream on fire safety in buildings. Now the Commission has announced their commitment to work on asbestos as well and indoor air quality. So we're looking also into the effects of buildings for the citizens. And last but not least, certainly, we're describing actions in order to foster innovation, deployment, and much better R&I needs of the industry with what is happening in big programs like Horizon, and enabling, of course, finance for the transition. That is all from my side on the introductory parts on construction policy in EU level. And now I would like to pass the floor to my colleague Peter to speak to you about the digitalization of construction.
Thank you, Electra. Hello, indeed. I'm Peter Stalens, colleague from Electra, from the H1 unit, the construction unit at DG GROW. Also, first of all, also from my side, big congratulations to Jan as chair and to Milena and Jaroslav as deputy chairs. Very nice to see the unanimous support for this team. Also, big support from us for this team. We're quite sure that this team will bring the case of BIM forward, and as Electra said, also looking forward to cooperating with you. This is great to see. Yes, you can go to the next slide, please, Electra. So indeed, first I would like to share a few words about our initiative on digital building logbooks that we are that we are taking right now. This is more kind of a technical initiative, and there is a good reason for this. The reason is this is not the first time that we think about digital building logbooks. So we have been doing some research before, some studies before, thinking what is a digital building logbook, what do we want from a digital building logbook, what are the functionalities, the minimal functionalities that are needed, and what can it mean to have a digital building logbook on a European level. So all this thinking has been done before. In a few steps before, the result of this is, for example, that we have kind of recognition for the role of digital building logbooks, also for the link between digital building logbooks and other databases. So there is some general recognition for this. And also that we have some further Horizon Europe projects and grants that will further work on demonstration of actions, demonstration also of use cases of digital building logbooks, what digital building logbooks can bring to the construction industry. So what we are doing right now, and this is shown within the yellow frame, is a more technical study that already started halfway 2022, and that will take us until the end of next year, 2023. And what we are doing is thinking about what does it mean to have a European digital building logbook technically, what is needed in terms of format. Also, so we are creating this format for a European digital building logbook. We will propose this to the member states, not only propose it to the member states, but we're also testing it with member states to have a look, is it workable? What does it mean for the member states? And we will also provide some guidance for the implementation of this format, all for the time being, all on a voluntary basis, but it is a technical way of thinking how to bring this forward to the member states and how to create some harmonization between all kinds of digital building logbook developments that we see between the member states. So this is also a strong push for harmonization, and also a strong push towards interoperability between digital building logbooks and all kinds of databases that already exist, such as the EPC database, and databases that are still to be developed, such as, for example, EPBD database and the CPR database. After this study, after this more technical study, we will of course take this forward, keep on pushing for further interoperability, data availability, linkage of data with European Digital Building Logbook, increase further transparency and trust. So next slide, please. Okay. Thanks. So this study that I just mentioned exists of 4 work packages. So on the second figure on the screen, you can see the overview of these 4 work packages. So the first work package is about to be finished, which is a review of existing databases and resources. So this has already been done also in previous studies. So what we're doing here is in this review is not just looking at functionalities, but really looking at what are the data formats being used, what are the rules on accessibility, and so on. So really, how does it function technically? So this was really the focus of this review of existing databases and resources. And we are right now in this second work package, which really pushes towards a kind of data harmonization. While creating this, like we call it, an EU framework for digital building logbooks. So this consists of semantic data model, of a dictionary, consists of ideas about data sets and functionalities too. Of course, these functionalities are always on the back of our minds. And we'll also give ideas on how to guarantee this interoperability within systems. And as I mentioned before, we'll also give ideas on how to guarantee the interoperability with other data sets, such as EPC dataset, and also with data sets still to be developed, such as EPBD and CPR. Of course, they are still to be developed, so we are a little bit in the dark here, but it is one of the main focuses to have this interoperability with these data sets. When creating the semantic data model, the dictionary, we are not starting from scratch either. We are not reinventing the wheel. So also here, a lot of inspiration and ideas are taken from existing standards and so on, but here being used for the specific purpose of this EU framework for digital building logbook. And within a third work package that where we will have the focus on the work more next year, we will also create a kind of a digital gateway interface, a kind of an EU portal, or at least a proposal for an EU portal where you can have references and links to all member states' digital building logbooks. So the idea is here that also a visual identity for this portal or gateway will be created. So we will have a mock-up of this website, and also have some guidelines here also for national gateways on how to have a good link with this European gateway. And in the fourth work package of this study, we will also focus a little bit on costs and benefits, because of course this whole idea of an EU format for member states to be applied, it will result in some costs for maybe for member states, but we will do here a cost benefit analysis, also showing all the benefits for member states to apply this format, to use this format in further developments. Also, of course, to convince member states to take up this format. Also, already we received quite some questions from member states when we present this study. So we have a feeling that this fourth work package will also be quite important for the purpose of fostering this idea of the EU format towards the member states. So next slide, please. One other study, it's not really a study, one other support initiative I would call it, that we are doing, and it is now coming into a final phase, is the digitalization of construction SMEs. What we have done here is we have created quite some tools specifically tailored at SMEs, such as a maturity scan, where SMEs can assess their level of maturity on different technologies, such as BIM, such as uptake of specific technologies, robots, drones, 3D printing, and so on. And linked to this maturity scan, there is also a handbook that we created, also a handbook very specifically tailored at SMEs on how to start taking up certain technologies, 3D printing, use of sensors, use of Internet of Things, and so on. So we have tried to make this as practical as possible, also showing SMEs what are the benefits of taking up these technologies, also showing them the costs, because of course one of the main things that you always hear is starting this kind of innovations for SMEs, it takes a lot of time, it costs a lot of money, but here we try to give them a cost benefit analysis and also show them very practically in the handbook what first steps SMEs can take in order to start taking up this technology. So showing that the threshold for starting with this is quite low. So this was the focus of the handbook, and this is already available. You can download the handbook also on the website that is put in link. And what you will also find within the link of this website is a calendar and an overview of all trainings that will be provided within this initiative. So trainings already started in November. They will still be organized until March of 2023. There will be some trainings on specific technologies, but also quite generic, I would say, for example, on digital company culture, because also for many SMEs, it is the first step is creating this company culture so that people in the company really know about certain technologies, that they can assess the cost and benefit of certain technologies, so that from this company culture around digitalization, SMEs will actually start taking up certain technologies. So also a warm welcome here to share this link within your specific network. As you know, SMEs are not always the easiest group to target for trainings. So if you have a network of SMEs, be very welcome to share this link and to share the training calendar. We still have trainings next year until March. So next slide, please. So here. It is with fly-in. I didn't realize this. Digitalization of the Built Environment Initiative. This is an initiative that will officially start within a few days. It will take 18 months. So this initiative will take us well into 2024. And it will consist of three main work packages. First work package will be about permit systems. So what we'll be doing within this work package of permit systems is we will do a mapping of the state of play of building permits across the European Union, but we'll also create a kind of a matrix categorization to categorize these building permits.
I think we're seeing someone else's screen.
Electra, I think. Okay, great. We'll also do an analysis of 10 international frontrunner cases, and we'll also try to identify gaps and needs regarding digitalization of these processes. what is really needed also for municipalities to step up in the digitalization of the permit process in terms of administrative workflows, in terms of rules, in terms of other kind of requirements, in terms of skills, and so on. And the idea is also to provide a very specific toolkit tailored for public authorities, not only to assess the level of digitalization of the permit systems, but also to support them in increasing this level of digitalization of permit systems. A second work package will be about BIM, where also we will do an analysis of the state of play of BIM in the 27 member states. We will also create kind of evaluation matrix to evaluate the state of play in the different member states. There will be some focus on some specific elements that are pointed out in the box on this slide. So we'll have a look at the national strategies for adoption with a SWOT analysis of these national strategies. We'll look at the standards and classification systems. We will look at the connection of BIM with other initiatives, as for example, digital permits, or for example, digital twins. For example, digital twins of public infrastructure that would already exist in some member states or for some public authorities. And we'll also look at very specifically at the use of BIM, not only for the public procurement purposes only, because of course in public procurement it's not the idea to just gather all the data just to have all the data. Of course, the final idea is that this would add to very specific KPIs also on greening and on resilience of the project. We also specifically look at bottlenecks, as I already mentioned, regulatory, resource related. Also access of SMEs, which is of course very important, that the market is still open enough also to SMEs, and we'll have a look at ethical use, open BIM, open standards, and so on. And maybe also interesting to mention here is that within this work package of BIM, there will also be some support for the community of practice of BIM in public procurement. This is a community of practice that will also start at the beginning of next year. The idea is that there will also be a website where a lot of substance can be shared on BIM and public procurement. We are thinking about all kind of tools for public authorities, the national strategies, all kind of cases, best practices, also activities within this field of BIM and public procurement. There will be room for news items. There will be room for questions between each other's, contact making, and so on. And we will have quite a wide target audience for this community, which is all teams actually procuring services for construction and construction projects on all kind of levels, national, regional, local level, and also all other public bodies and other institutions that work on procuring construction projects and construction services. Then a third pillar within this initiative will be, well, we call it Beyond DigiPlace towards an EU data space. So the idea is here that we will further pave the way towards an EU data space. I think this will come very timely also with other initiatives around digital building logbook, other initiatives around construction products regulation, EPBD, and all the databases that will be created there. I think it's a very timely initiative to also further pave the way towards construction data space, because right now it's also a moment to build the case, I think, towards this, or to further build the case towards this data space, also doing some cost-benefit analysis here. Next slide, please. Okay, so this this was a little bit the overview. So if there are any questions, please let us know. And here on this slide, of course, you will also find our contact details. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
will also share the PPT in the chat.
Great.
So you can have it.
Yeah, thank you, Letra. Thank you, Peter. Many information there. Very, very interesting, very promising. I've put in the chat the link to the digital construction site. There's a lot of information there. Please go and visit the site. A lot of useful information there. Any questions on these presentations from the General Assembly?
Well, maybe not a question, but a big thank you and a comment from my side. We are delighted to see that DigiGrow is really taking the momentum and giving us more and more opportunities to contribute. So we see your projects as our projects and vice versa. So you can count on us, and very much looking forward to work on these very ambitious and really very promising topics and agendas. That's all.
Thank you very much, Milena. Indeed, our projects are your projects as well, and I think we can only accomplish together. So please, anything you heard today is really an invitation to collaborate.
Absolutely. I had the question about the digital building logbook. Peter, you talked about a EU portal that will be put in place. Can you say more about that and how this EU portal can link to national portals? Do you have any ideas about that?
Well, it's actually neat. So the real portal will not be created. It will not be part of the study to have this portal, but we asked the contractor to create a visual identity for this portal so that we also could have an idea for ourselves to consider how should this look like and how will this look like, this European portal. Well, and it will consist, of course, of links and references towards other member states and their digital building logbook initiatives. There will also be on this portal or on this gateway room for news items, also on digital building logbooks or new digital building logbook initiatives, and so on. And of course, it would be perfect maybe in the future to also have a possibility to maybe start searching within digital building logbooks of different member states from this EU portal. Of course, this depends a lot on the interoperability between the digital building logbooks of different member states. So maybe that part is more of a future thing. But right now we are starting to create the visual identity and the look and feel of how such an EU portal could look like.
Okay, thank you. Very promising indeed. Yeah. Any other questions?
I maybe have one more question for Electra. Can you perhaps elaborate a bit more on the Big Buyers Club? I'm not sure everybody's aware of this initiative and how it connects to maybe our work.
Yeah, sure. I think it's better that Peter takes this question.
Yes, so indeed, we will start. Well, we are creating, how would I say, a community of public buyers. So we don't really like to call it big buyers because of course many big buyers will be included and we will need them also in this community. But the target audience for the community is also a little bit the smaller buyers, so the smaller local authorities who also procure construction products, construction services. So the target audience is quite wide, it's quite broad, looking at all kind of public authorities. We'll have the website up and running. It is expected to have it up and running from March next year. So the idea is that we provide the opportunity to create this community. We will of course support this community. We will have a contractor to also further support this community. But the idea is also that this would be a community that is self-governing, so that it will not be DigiGrow who will do anything here. So we are also looking for some people within the field to take up some roles specifically in this community, to act as, for example, as a community leader or as a topic leader, to assess for example, also to assess the inputs that will be provided on this website, on this community of practice, to assess if it is interesting, to assess if it is really something for the community. So we will also need some moderation maybe. So that we are right now in the in the phase of also building this community, looking for partners also who would like to take up certain roles. Also creating a roadmap in terms of objectives and outcomes and deliverables. So what would we really want to see from this community, for example, by the end of next year or by the end of 2024? So creating this roadmap, looking for partners to cooperate, take up some roles in the community is something that we are now doing right now. So also this is a very warm welcome to all of you. Really reach out to us if you are interested to take part in this community. Let us know, and we can see in what way we can cooperate.
Yeah, I think it's quite a interesting opportunity for the UBIM task group to collaborate on this, because a lot of our members are also public buyers, procurers, and but I understand this public buyers club is more about a broader sense of how to procure, not only on the digital aspects, but I think we can definitely provide a lot of input and support on the digital side of things. How do you see the kind of collaboration between the UBIM task group and this new initiative?
Well, this is a very good question, and I think that this question even could have, how would I say, a dedicated meeting to discuss. So in fact, this is also the plan to have a dedicated meeting on looking together with you what could be the role specifically of the EU BIM task group within this community. So I think it would be best even to plan this in, and this to be honest, this can be done on a very short term.
I think that's a good idea to have a discussion, because the last thing we want is to have some kind of similar activities happening in different groups.
Yeah, and we can't hear
yeah.
you very well. Maybe
Yeah.
something happened to your mic. It's the last 2 or 3 interventions were really hardly to understand.
I hope you can hear me better now.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah, now
Thank
it's
you.
much better. Thank you.
It's sometimes the headset is fidgety. No, I was just saying that I think it's really important that we connect these two groups, since I see there's a little bit of overlap there, especially on the digital side, and the last thing we want is to have different groups working on the same thing, and reinventing the wheels over and over again. So definitely, I think having a dedicated meeting on this would be a good idea.
Exactly, yes. So having a dedicated meeting also on the roles you could take up, but also exactly as you just mentioned on avoiding overlap between the two initiatives. So the idea is indeed that it will have added value towards other initiatives. So indeed would be very good. Yes.
If I may add one thing, I understand the consideration. Indeed, it is a group about public buyers in BIM, and I understand why this raises some doubts. But the idea of this Commission initiative that used to be called Big Buyers and now it's called Public Buyers is to bring together the actual procurers. So it's really going into the local level, into small municipalities that are procuring or small authorities that are procuring, that they are not the bodies that are setting direction and strategy, as many of you are. Many of you here in this meeting are coming from governmental agencies or ministries, so you are in charge of setting direction. So in this community of practice, we mostly target individual procurers, but as Peter said, there are also roles to uptake to set the global vision of this community, and this is where we see your involvement. But certainly, Jan, you just took over. I think that the moment that you are ready from your side, we are ready to discuss this in detail and see how this the UBIM task group and the community of practice can collaborate.
Jaroslav, go ahead.
Yeah, if I may just add a comment on that, because I feel it's really important to put these activities together. I fully support that, and it's more about understanding the BIM acronym, yeah, because as we feel it is an information management is going through the whole life cycle. So all these activities really must be joined together to support the smooth transitions, the data during the whole life cycle of the construction. So that's really important to start deep discussions together and put these things together the smart way, let's say, because we want all of them to do that. So it's really appreciate to be involved in it.
We'll make sure this is the case.
Yeah.
Great. There are no more questions. I want to thank again Electra and Peter for this nice presentation. Really, I mean, we can see the momentum there, and it is really comforting, really to see that we are putting the means to progress on these topics. Thank you again. Okay, so now we can move to the next point of the agenda. So here it is time to share your thoughts and best practices from a national perspective. I think it is very important to let the group know what's happening in your country. It is one of the objectives of the UBIM task group is to give this overall view about what's happening in the European Union regarding BIM and digitalization. So please, you can give this presentation without any PowerPoints in order to give as many people as possible the opportunity to do so. So I have some requests to make these presentations, but if you didn't express your interest to make this presentation yet, please do so in the chat so we can plan it. So maybe we can start with you, Jan, about what's happening in Estonia.
Yeah, I think well, the most important thing I want to highlight is, or the project that we're currently very actively pursuing is BIM-based building permits. And I've done some presentations on this before, calling it kind of the killer app for BIM, because I really think this is a key process in how to transition and to get, you know, structured data in a digital form usable by not just, you know, the architects, engineers, designers, and contractors, but getting it out of those specific groups of stakeholders into the hands of municipalities, officials, owners, etc. So because when we apply BIM to a very cumbersome building permit process that is currently, I think, in most countries, including in Estonia, although it's digital, but it's on digital paper. But what our first pilots and prototypes have showed is that it can have a huge impact on the speed, on the quality of how we can review and issue building permits. So yeah, and I'm very happy to see that there's a lot of activity around Europe also in other countries. But I wanted to highlight it here as well, that if you haven't yet started looking into how to manage building permits with the help of BIM models, applying automated code compliance checks to check, you know, accessibility, fire safety, a lot of these things that take huge amounts of time if you want to do them manually. And in the end, really nobody does them. Often that's the case that we've seen in many smaller municipalities, especially where they don't just have the manpower. But with the smart tools, we can help them. We can make the process more automated, faster, as I said before, and this is a win for everybody. And in the end, it's also partly about the visualization, and I think a lot of municipality officials would rather prefer reviewing, you know, a volumetric 3D model with a lot of semantic information, a smart model, information-rich model, instead of reviewing 2D drawings and plans. So yeah, that's all from me. So I'm happy to hand it over to others.
Thank you, Jan. Thanks a lot. We will, in the minutes, we will recap some ideas of your presentation so that we can share this information outside our group. Okay, next I had a request from Pietro from Italy to give this national perspective.
Yes, thank you. Very briefly, we are in this moment revising the legislation for public procurement. This is a target of the Recovery and Resilience Facility. So I will be March or April of the next year. We will have the new legislation. In this legislation, there are 4 pillars for the efficiency of public works, which is one is digitalization, ISO 19650. Second, project management, ISO 21500. Risk management, ISO 31000. And then at least asset management, ISO 55000. So we will have some milestones for implementation of mandatory digital methods in public works. That is over 5 million euro. That is the European level, threshold level. We will have you are obliged to make a BIM design, except ordinary and extraordinary maintenance. And then from 2025, that is till for now, but it's till in discussion this topic, over 1 million euro, except ordinary and extraordinary maintenance, will be BIM mandatory. Then we will have reward scores for tenders, that is in the legislation. And after that, I think that we are ready to have a very extensive digitalization work in Italy. There will be really a lot of work. What I want to say till now on the resilience and the recovery facility gives 23 billions of euro for railways, and for railway there is BIM is mandatory for the realization of the works. So we will have 23 billion of euro of design with BIM and with the 4 pillars for efficiency. What I have to say more, the discussion is open, but there are 2 parties, of course. One party is not so for the mandatory legislation that is still in discussion. One part is for a mandatory legislation. What have to do? For now, we have 2 decrees, the decree 560 and 312, that make BIM mandatory for some works. But now we will see what about the discussion are not about building logbook, but discussion is about bridge BIM logbook, because we are a great plan for resilience of infrastructures. So there will be a bridge BIM logbook of all infrastructures for roads and autobahn. What is in English? Okay, you and I have understand. Then the discussion it was also a question for Electra. What about life cycle analysis, a quantitative analysis through BIM? We are looking about this question, and the two commissions are working about buildings and about linear civil works to have a sustainability analysis about quantitative through BIM. This is the situation for now in Italy. Thank you.
Thank you, Pietro. Thank you for this detailed presentation. Very, very promising indeed. I have a request from Julius Walz from the Federal Ministry of Digital and Transport in Germany. Julius?
Yes, thank you. I'll just give a very, very brief outlook on some of the progress made in Germany in 2022 and some of the plans for 23 and the following years. As you may have heard, Germany aims to make a real push in the field of digitalization in general, and the introduction of BIM is a priority for the German government in that. As laid out in the German digital strategy, Germany continues to drive forward the introduction of BIM as the standard for the construction of federal transport infrastructure and buildings, and is promoting innovative projects on digital planning, construction and operation. Germany has just launched the federal government's BIM portal. I'll say more about that in a second, as a platform and as a tool to clearly and precisely define the requirements for digital construction using BIM in the public procurement process. With BIM Germany as a center for the digital transformation of construction, Germany is promoting the use of BIM and digital methods in the country, and BIM Germany is providing technical advice to involved practitioners and supporting the developments of national and international standards in coordination with the national standards organizations. When it comes to goals in Germany, BIM shall be established as the standard for all infrastructure construction, as well as for housing and building construction, in order to improve economic efficiency and life cycle assessment in the planning, construction and operation of building and infrastructure projects. By 2025, we want to achieve the milestones laid out in the several federal BIM master plans, and this will lead to the federal building construction sector becoming a role model for the application of the BIM method, also for private developers. As mentioned before, we have just launched the federal BIM portal as a tool in October with the first module, the so-called properties module, and the BIM portal is to be used by public organizations on the federal level first, and on other public levels in the future. The launch was accompanied by a BIM ideathon as a new format to further the constructive and innovative dialogue with all stakeholders from both the private and the public sector. In the future, there will also be a module on employers' information requirements on the BIM portal, as sort of the heart and the core of this tool is currently in a testing stage, and it will be launched in spring of 2023. Also, BIM Germany has promoted further standardization through involvement in committees on the national and international level. And BIM Germany has also developed and delivered standardized consulting modules on BIM for the federal public administrative organizations. When it comes to the plans for 2023, As mentioned before, the employer's information requirements for the federal BIM portal will be launched in spring, and also some further modules will be developed and launched either in 2023 or 24, such as on object templates and a model checker. Yes, and the activities of BIM Germany will continue and will also deepen in scope. Yes, and there will be further efforts in the field of standardization, and for Germany, BIM is a key component to digitalize and speed up official planning and approval procedures as well. That, in a nutshell and very briefly, is what has happened in Germany and the plans for the next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Julius. I mean, it's amazing. It's during presentations like this that you see how ambitious European countries are regarding BIM and the diversity of things that are happening. It's really great. Milena, I don't know if you want to add something to the presentation from Julius regarding the status in Germany.
Actually, it was an excellent presentation. Maybe just one word for the for the construction sector, not the infrastructure, but for the maybe Wojtowski wants if he wants to add something as well. But I'm very glad we have a joint journey nowadays. We used to have a roadmap only for the infrastructure part of the construction sector. Now we have a joint effort, and BIM Germany is doing excellent work. We are all very happy with the current situation, and keep our fingers crossed. It will we will continue with the same with the same energy and positive input. Thank you.
Great, thank you both. Let's move to the Czech Republic now with Jaroslav.
Thank you, Suhail. Just a really short report. What is happening on our side? We are running, as you may know, the national strategy about the BIM from 2018, and right now I feel that we are moving from the point if and why on the organization level on the point how. So that's what I feel. It's a great success of all these activities which were done for the organization, because the organization level is the key point which decide how much the digital transformation will happen in reality. And so that's very positive things, because we're starting lots of those organizations starting lots of pilot projects and trying to evaluate lots of guidances, manual standards, templates which were already published during the previous years. So that's the only thing which can help really move things forward, putting these things on the daily practice, collecting the feedbacks, and creating better documents, guidance, and so on. What is very important for us that all these documents were created respecting all the international standards, because I believe that is the only way how we can find some kind of the efficiency to sharing the data, sharing the information, sharing the processes together across the whole life cycle. Yeah, it's very hard to do that. It's step-by-step process. Of course, it's going much slower than we will all want it to, but the standards are the key for moving forward and sharing the knowledge. So that's very important for us, that these guidances and manuals respecting, and it's based on these standards, and it's a great collaboration with the CEN TC442 guys, which delivering us lots of really important knowledge, which is already put together. So that's the most important message from Czech Republic. And of course, we are at the point we finished or closely to finish the first step on the legal procedure to put the mandatory BIM for the public procurers, which Czech government or the ministry decided to go to create a specific short law about the information management for the buildings and for the construction sector. So we are not aiming to put it in the public procurement law. So the decision was that we create the really simple law. And what is the most important part after that law? It should be published, the provision, a regulation based on that law, which will provide to the public procurers more detailed regulations, because what we found, it's not enough to say that just follow the ISO 19650. It's too general. We need to go a little bit more in detail to really make things happen, to share the data, to be able to collect the data, because in that case, it's always need to go more in detail. So that's basically what happening. We are working and moving forward. That's the most important message for us.
Thank you, and thank you again for this wonderful conference in Prague. That was really a big success, and that's great. Thank you. Okay, Sarah, do you want to say a few words about what's happening in France?
Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Angotti from the French Ministry for Ecological Transition in charge of construction. And today I would like to highlight the launch at the end of last year of a new tool after 6 months of development by the French BIM deployment plan that we presented a couple years away. This tool named Aurélie is meant to assist in the drafting of BIM specifications. It's a free platform that has been co-built with the different stakeholders of the building construction sector. And for now, sorry, it is only available in French, but I have seen the link posted in the chat. This tool is aimed at all clients, regardless of the size of their structure, their level of maturity in BIM, or the type of their operations, whether in construction or renovation. And thanks to videos, documents, and interactive presentation, each user of the platform can fill in his or her BIM specification section by section, and write and update the document independently. Also, a toolbox containing additional resources and a forum have been added to the platform to create like a community and a real dynamic around the Aurélie support. Also, I can mention that the BIM plan in France is about to be also how to say that prolonged next year, and also we are thinking of including the state public building in this plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Eddie, for sharing the website also in the chat. Now we move to the Netherlands. Benno, so it's been a while. What's happening in the Netherlands?
Yeah, I made a PowerPoint, one slide, which is a short summary. So let's see if I can share my screen.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, there it is. So a number of activities might be of your interest. There's 2 years ago a big program launched regarding digitalization. It's launched by the Ministry of Internal Affairs. And basically they concentrate on data sharing, the authorization aspect, and they develop a standard for data sharing. Furthermore, they have a wide spread of all kinds of projects. It's over 40 projects, and they have adopted the roadmap standards from BIM Locat. And there you can find the standards, a lot of Dutch standards, and the standards from Building Smart and CEN/TC 442. Furthermore, we do invest in standardization. And there's one standard in particular we put a lot of effort in, and that's the semantic modeling and linking standard. Part 1 is about to be published this month, probably next week. And part 2 will be out for inquiry next year, and probably it will be published also next year. It concentrates on semantic modeling and linked data stuff. And there's also a top level model in it, which covers all the life cycles, or the total life cycle in construction. At Rijkswaterstaat, which takes care of the national infrastructure in the Netherlands, we concentrate on digital twinning, mainly for data-driven asset management. We scoped it that way. We finalized the BIM program, which was about for the last 10 years. And we will start next year with the modernization of the asset management system, which is a huge task. Among that, the preparation of the procurement of a enterprise asset management system will be there. Furthermore, we have an active interest in all international developments. And last year also the results of a CEDAR call were published. And CEDAR is an organization of all the European road directors. And 2 consortia has finalized their research. And I can recommend that to everyone because it's very practical, and it's very interesting to read. And the consortia cover are consisting of parties all over Europe. So it's really interesting. And the main conclusion from that is it can be done. Just do it. So that's it.
Thank you, Benno. Thanks a lot. Good to see you. Let's move to Øyvind from Norway, with the national perspective also from Norway. I don't know if you want to talk about TC 442 also.
I didn't plan to do that.
Okay.
Only the usual thing that we have and develop the standards you need to do all the work. But I think I should use the opportunity to report a little bit from Norway as well, because we see all the focus on digital building permit, and we in the Norwegian Building Authority, which I'm still employee. They don't see me much, but it's too much conversation. But we have done this since 2000, that is 22 years ago. And we had the first system up and running in 2003, and now we are on the 2nd generation. And this system of building permit works quite well, and is a great success, I think. But we are still on PDF, and that is the challenge here, because we started the BIM journey for supporting building permit in 2003. That's the reason why we was in contact with Building Smart and starting the BIM journey. But we are still not there. We have a system up and running, developed together with the Statsbygg, use the same technology as they do to check if all the information needed for the building permit process is in the BIM model. But there is no one using the system. And what we see is that the municipality, they live quite well with the PDFs, and the industry is also quite happy to do it the same way as they always done on this. So we have a work to do here to have it, because we see there will be more advantages, because one of the main challenges we still had, that hindering a smooth building permit process is that check if all the information is there. We know we can do it in the BIM model. We can't do it with the PDF. There is information missing in the PDF drawings and so on, and there is a process fought and through between the applicant and the municipalities to have the. So we need see that there still is advantages, but we have problems to do. So what should we do? And I think it had been very interesting to have a place. I see that Jan and so on, and I will follow up with the contact with you, Jan, to how we can collaborate a little bit, collect all the experience from Europe. What is working, what is not working? How can we do this? I think we need a common way to work about classification. We need to have a common language and the property definitions, so we can. It has to be a dream if you develop some smart thing in Estonia or in Italy or Finland or whatever, we can reuse it directly in Norway or the other way, for example. So then we can spare a lot of resources. And I also have a feeling, you remember I was down visiting you, so highly see what you was dealing with the automatic code checking. I think the experience I have sitting inside the authorities itself, if that they are unsure if this is, they need a clear message for some authorities, say this is the direction, this is the way you should go, and then I think we quite soon go down that route. But we need a general telling us this is the right thing to do, because they are quite. It's very complicated to convince people in the ministry and so on, that because it's so technical. So I really hope that we can see if we can find a good way to collaborate on this in Europe. It's so much happening, and I think the initiative from the Commission that the building permit is one of the priority processes is a good thing we can use to have this collaboration up and going. And then I'm quite sure we can run quite fast. Thank you.
Thank you, Øyvind. Obviously, we cannot have the discussion here, but the idea was to make the connections, right? And obviously, I think we need to have this discussion, and this can be planned in the future actions. Great. So let's move to Lena from Greece.
Yes, thank you. I want to share with you some information about all the Greek initiatives, BIM initiatives. We're running a project since the beginning of this year with the title Development of the Strategic Plan and Roadmap for the Implementation of BIM in Greece. It is an initiative of the Ministry of Infrastructure in collaboration with DG Reform, and is financed by the European Union through the Structural Support Program reforms. It is expected to be completed in April 2023. So in a few months, we're going to have all the strategic plan. Meanwhile, the strategic plan determines 10 strategic actions which contribute to the effective adoption of BIM, and some more interventions. The aim of these interventions is to introduce BIM in the construction of public works in Greece in the next 4 years. Let me tell you about mention you briefly the roadmap. We're going to choose 3 pilot projects. We're going to move forward to the change of our legislation, continue all the communication efforts with all the stakeholders in Greece. We're going to move on to some education programs, some more education programs, and move forward to get the needed specification and standards to implement BIM. And of course, we're going to search the financial tools for the companies to implement all the BIM investors. I think that the most important key for the adoption of BIM in Greece is to finance the investment regarding digital transformation. And that's because we had a tremendous economic crisis and the companies are recovering by now, but they're not ready to afford all the investment for the digital transformation. I want to share with you also two projects, great projects that we're dealing with in Greece. First of all, the largest redevelopment project in Europe, in which we have the central decision to implement with the use of BIM. It's called the Ellinikon. I don't know if you have heard it by now. The Ellinikon is a mixed-use development on a prime seafront location at the south of Attica region, reinstating the standards of the Mediterranean coastal urban living. Is envisaged to become an example of integrated and sustainable living through its 15-minute city. So it's going to be a smart city principles, offering a truly 360-degree experience to its residents, tenants, guests, and employees. In this spot, we have the past years located the former airport site, and it's going to be a district character, going to have a district character, and combine residences, shopping centers, walking areas, leisure, entertainment, and cultural activities, and also a great park, 2 million square meters, the largest coastal park in Europe. The whole investment is going to be 8 billion euros, and it's 3 million square meters, the total building area. So you can understand it's going to be the largest project in Greece, and not only Greece, I believe, but in Europe. And I think that it's worthwhile to update you, all the group, and keep you informed on the progress of this big BIM project in Greece. And the last point that I want to highlight from Greece is the construction of the Metro Line 4. The totally construction is going to be with the BIM use, the use of BIM. It's going to have to include 50 new stations, 13 kilometers, and the budget is 1.5 billion euros. So I think that Greece is at last on board on all the BIM initiatives, trying to move forward to the legislation changes, and besides pilot projects to construct with BIM. I'm happy that I shared all these informations, and thank you.
Thank you, Liana. And Sarah was asking about some information, additional information about the project. So if you have some website or some documentation you can share, that would be great. Thank you.
Yes, I'm going to share it
in the chat. Okay, great. Okay.
For any further question.
Thanks. Let's move to Spain. Angel from Spain.
Yes. Hello. Good morning to everyone, and thank you for having me here. Yes, very short. In Spain, we are in a very similar case, maybe to Greece, because we have also a support from the digital reform with a technical support instrument to make a national strategy plan or action plan only at national level, at national administration level. Because although we think that we have been consolidated in Spain, because regarding the observatory, we have since 2017 2017, in this part of the year we have 380 contracts made with BIM requirements, and we expect to end the year with 550 contracts made with, or public procurements made with BIM. We still want to reinforce let's say the public procurement with BIM. Sorry. So we plan for next year, for the first semester of the year, to have this national implementation plan, which should be approved by our Council of Ministers. And we are looking for some experience, like for instance in Italy, because they changed the regulation. So we are looking at those kind of initiatives. And also we will also have some technical documents to support this national plan. And we are developing three documents. One, it's a very general view of BIM. The idea is that it's high level in order that we can maybe convince our politicals that BIM is necessary and is good. And the other two are in the technical field. And we have one guidance in order to standardize the BIM requirements, and the other is just guidance also for the public tenders, so we can also standardize in somehow the things that the different ministers are doing the public procurement. So that's all on my side. I don't know if maybe Jorge Torrico, which is a long member of the team, maybe want to add something. Jorge.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, everybody. I have to add that some of the most important investment in infrastructure, both railways and highways, are currently made with BIM requirements, high-speed lines in railways, and the major stations, the extensions of the major stations in Spain, in Madrid, in Barcelona, and in Valencia are being developed in BIM, hospitals, metro, and some other public buildings. So as Angel said before, the spread of BIM methodology within not only administration at the national level, but regional and municipalities are ongoing. In terms of public procurement, not only at the national level, but at the municipalities, are this year more than 100 contracts with BIM requirements. That I think it's a good result, because BIM is, as we think, is not only for those huge investments in infrastructure, but for the municipalities as well. That's all. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Angel, and thank you, Jorge, for this this presentation from Spain. And finally, we have a presentation from Dimitris from Latvia about the state real estate.
Hello to everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So my name is Dimitris, and I represent the state joint stock company, State Real Estate, from the Republic of Latvia. I'm a head of Building Information Modeling and Management Division in our company and responsible for BIM implementation. Today, I would like to share an information about employee information requirements, a document which is developed in Latvia for public procurers. A little bit information about our company. We are the largest property manager of real estate in the Latvia and one of the largest public procurers. We are rapidly digitizing construction project management process, and at the same time, we also promoting the use of BIM in public sector of Latvia.
Our main activities are developing of employee information requirements standard documentation for design, construction, and operational phase of building life cycle. In our construction projects, we ensure information management and quality control from customer side. And we also have some we use some BIM technologies, for example, 3D laser scanning or virtual reality. And we also organize educational seminars for public procurers, for public sector in Latvia. And we also cooperate with the Ministry of Economics in the field of BIM and digitalization of construction sector. That's why our document, employee information requirements, are publicly available for use. And why I want to talk about this document, there are two reasons. This year in November was released a new version of document, version 2, and the whole set of documents is translated to English. About content of this document, so there are three parts. There are business requirements, it's about procurement process, milestones, the exchange information requirements, roles and responsibilities, workflows during design phase and construction phase. It's about common data environment, BIM execution plan, quality control and cooperation. And the third part is technical requirements. It's BIM deliverables, modeling process, level of development, level of information, etc. And a set of annexes. About procurement process, it's still a challenge to us in Latvia to evaluate suppliers' competence and possibility to modeling. So we have defined three types of materials. It's a qualification questionnaire, it's a pre-contract BIM execution plan, and it's also a sample model. And now we have an updated version. Changes are based on our practical experience. I can give you one small example. For example, we have a problem that it's an imitation of BIM process. So the correct approach is that 2D drawings comes from 3D model. And 3D is a source of information for detailization. But in some cases, in practice, 3D is developed from 2D or as a parallel process. And to minimize this risk, there are some new rules and conditions. For example, design team and BIM team is one team, and lead designer is also responsible for BIM, or two drawings must be created using same software used for 3D modeling, and also other conditions. So in conclusion, I want to tell that BIM requirements are based on ISO BIM standards. This document can be used in different types of project and contracts, for example, design and build or design bid build. Whole documentation was coordinated with Procurement Monitoring Bureau in Latvia, and the document is fully developed in-house and based on our practical experience. And it's also constantly being updated and renewed with changes and best practices. And we have also plans in future develop this document, for example, to develop some automatization tools for quality control, develop detailed BIM requirements for construction companies, and I hope there will be a next version BIM requirements 3. This is a brief from my side. As I said, this document is also in English and publicly available for use. I will write in the chat a link to documentation. You can use it as a sample for ordering BIM, and we will also appreciate feedback, some critics, questions or advices, because I think that it will be beneficial for public sector to share experience and use standardized documentation. Thank you for attention.
Thank you, Dimitris, and thank you all. I really think that this presentation about what's happening across Europe is very useful, because I mean, obviously we know some of what's happening, but we don't know everything, and I think it is a very nice addition to the group. Okay, thank you all. So now we can move to the.
Can
Yeah,
I still,
please.
can I still present Finland?
Oh, sorry, Tarmo,
Yeah.
I missed that. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Yep.
Very shortly. We have two initiatives I would like to tell of you. First is for all built environment. Building Smart Finland has now collected all the experts and some funding for effort to reformulate and modernize our common BIM requirements for all built environment. There is 5 pillars: BIM framework, buildings, infrastructure, city model, and change management. And we have now collected some 300,000 for first round euros to start this project, and our goal is 2025 to make a big next step in Finnish BIM. Other initiative is more legislative. It's led by Minister of Environment. There is now a set of new laws on the parliamentary process. And if those laws are approved, there will be require, among other things, there is a BIM-based building permit process. There will be created a national information system to store those permits, both permit stage models and as-built models. And there is also a very strong climate statement for building. To meet certain carbon neutrality and circular economy goals that would be very difficult without BIM. So these two initiatives, very shortly. Thank you.
Thank you, Tarmo. Thank you, and sorry I missed your points. Did I miss anybody else? Anybody wanted to make a presentation? No. Okay. Okay, thank you. We move to the last point of the agenda. We will need to address any other business and things that you want to discuss. We also have this request from the BIM Global Network about the participation of the EU BIM Task Group to discuss. Jaroslav, do you want to take the lead on that?
Yeah, I can present, but I will ask you, Sohail, please, if you can show the slides.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because we are running out of the time, let's do it really fast. We are, as the EU BIM Task Group, part of the Global BIM Network, and me and Sohail are representatives, and Milena as well was involved in that in some parts. So basically, the Global BIM Network, I will give you the link in the chat, is the global platform which is organized by the UK guys and collecting together all the organization initiatives, platforms from all over the world. Yeah, you can move ahead. This is why the Global BIM Network was established, and was the purpose of the platform. Basically is the similar as we are trying to do here in the European level. They are trying to do it globally, putting all these different people from different areas, and it's quite interesting to see and hear what is happening all over the world. So that's the Global BIM Network, and let's move on, please. So that's just the map of where what are the members of the Global BIM Network. You can find much more detailed information on the link which I provide you in the chat later on. And what is going on right now is that they are trying to create, they call it the playbook. Yeah, it's the publication, still not decided if it will be like a website or the PDF document or whatever it will be, but they are running the activity to create the playbook. Here you can see the main topics and the main parts of the playbook, because what they already did, and you can find it on the website, they put together, they call it the information knowledge base. So they basically collect all the published documents across the world, around the world. And right now they have in the database approximately more than 200 items, and more than 200 more they are evaluating for the publishing. So basically it's something around 400 different documents. And of course, to be honest, it's a huge mess of the document in different languages and so on, so on. So they try to create a playbook which they want to do some kind of the pathways. between those documents and create some guidances how to work with those documents with a slightly addition of the knowledge on that. But the aim of the playbook is not to just telling everybody what they should do though, but the aim is to make people who is responsible for any activities around the BIM to get more informed, get the better knowledge what is already out there. Yeah, not reinventing the wheel, getting the inspiration and so on and so on. So that's the ambition of the playbook. And yeah, you can move. They divided the activity in those 7 stages. And what they are focused right now is the stage number 3 and 4 for mobilizing and developing the things about the BIM. So that's the focus right now, because we are speaking about the real activity which have the time schedule and outcomes. Yeah, so that's the priority and that's the focus what is working on right now. And the next, if you can move, so here, this is the definition of the personas for the playbook. What the target group the playbook is aiming on. So it's for the policymaker, strategy maker, transformation programs owners, and basically all the peoples around the public procurements to extend their knowledge what is happening around the world with let's say some kind of the guidance. And was the most important part of this message is on the last slide, because as European Task Group, we are the part of the global BIM network. So anybody from you can be involved in this. They have basically the deadline in March of 2023 to publish that playbook. So right now we are speaking about 3 or 4 months of the work, which is divided in some plan. And this is the proposal for anybody of you, if you want to be a part of that creating that playbook. Yeah, so they define these practical 3 options for you, how to get involved in that procedure before the publishing the playbook. And the playbook will be, of course, published for free on the Global BIM Network website, and it will be available for everybody. So this is the proposal. And the second thing is, so basically, if anybody from you want to be a part of the creation of that playbook, please let us know by the email to Sohail. Because it's on the time schedule and let's say on the time pressure a little bit. So if you will be able to have the decision in about a week, just let us know by the email. Tell us, okay, I want to be involved, and pick up one of those 3 options in which role you want to be involved. And after that, I will know how many people will be involved. We will decide how to move forward with it. One activity is already on the table, and it's organized by the Global BIM Network. It's for they are working by the online workshops with the people who will be involved in that. And one of the workshops is organized on the 15th of December. So the second thing is to let me know if somebody from you want to be involved in that workshop. Just let us know as well, and I will manage the rest. So we will provide you the link for that and more information around that. So that's basically the message. Again, I will give you the link for the Global BIM Network website. And if anybody from you is open to share your time, knowledge, and effort to that publication, I will be more than happy to cooperate with you. Just let us know, and we can start working. But again, it's on the timeline. Yeah, the publication should be in March 2023. So it's really intense work for next 2-3 months. Yeah. So that's basically, if I didn't forget about something important. So if you want to add something on that.
No, that's fine. That's great, Yaroslav. Thank you a lot. Thanks for that. So now we are getting close to the end of this General Assembly. If you have any comments or any other business you want to address, please let me know. Raise your hand or in the chat.
Maybe one more thing, Suhail, I pop up in my mind during the presentation, because lots of Peter mentioned that Evan as well, the classification system and this topic as the part of the technical solution. One highlight is that maybe you know it, we will with Estonians and later on the other countries join us together, and we create an international organization about the classification system. And what I want to say is we are organizing the public event on, but again in 15th of December is how you see how it's the collaboration is hard to do with the date. But again, in Tallinn, there will be the event. If anybody of you are interested about the classification systems, what is going on, how we are moving, how we are using the international standards, etc., feel free. And Jan already posted the links. You can register, and we will be more than happy to welcome you in the discussion, and sharing your opinions and your knowledge and whatever. So that's it from my side.
Great. Yeah. Thank you, Yaroslav. Thank you, Jan, for posting that also. Any other comments, information you want to share? Okay, so I want to be mindful of your time, so I suggest we stop here. Thank you all for your attention and collaboration. That was great. That was a very nice General Assembly. Thank you all. And it was an honor and a pleasure to be your chair for the last years. And again, a lot of good energy and congratulations for the new team for the next chapter of the EU BIM task group. So let's keep in touch until next time. And even if it's a little bit early, but I think that I can wish you all a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Thank you all, and please take care.
Suhail, before everybody leaves, may I have one suggestion that as many people as possible turn on their cameras so we can take a group picture.
Oh, yes, please, yeah.
With the Christmas tree in the background, or maybe we just.
I'll just no, it's more important to have the people there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so taking the photo now. Wait, let's see if anybody else is turning on. Oh, pretty good. So everybody smile. And just in case, a few more. Okay, should be there.
Of course, the recording of the session will be available on the website.
Okay.
Thank you again. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.